A year ago on this channel, I said 3D printing was easy for beginners. I owe you an update. Hi, it's Simon. The video I made a year ago asked whether 3D printing was actually worth it for a beginner, and a weird number of you bought a printer because of it. So this follow-up, it's for you as much as it is for me. I'm going to answer 3 questions. What actually went wrong? What actually works? And a year later, is 3D printing really worth it still? And what have I found out? Along the way, the printed under-desk system that fixed my cable chaos, a flexible pair of shoes that may or may not be appropriate as a fashion statement, and the second crisis where I convinced myself I'd broken a £400 machine with my own hands. Oh, and one big admission incoming. There's a thing I promised you a year ago that I absolutely definitely have not done, but we'll get there. Honest bit of housekeeping first. This is the A1 with the AMS Lite combo pack that I am still running after it was sent to me a year ago by Bamboo Lab. They also sponsored this video. Now, nothing I say today is scripted by them. I'm about to tell you the stuff that went wrong, but since the whole story is with their machine, they're all over this one. And yes, it's still a great printer. Link below, and you'll see it in action in a minute. Onwards. So when I started printing things, I didn't understand this. There's a hierarchy of hard in 3D printing, and most beginners' videos, well, they skip it. So let me lay it out. Printing stuff, easy. The A1 is basically a toaster with ambitions. You plug it in, send something to it, and it just works. A little bit of setup and you're away. Finding great designs, also easy. Make a World, printables, Thingiverse. It's free open source IKEA assembled by very generous strangers. Actually using the stuff you print, harder than it looks. I'll explain in a minute. Designing your own great stuff, that's the top of the mountain. Most people never climb it, and well, I haven't really either. And I'll tell you why I think that's fine later. Keep that hierarchy in your head, because a whole year of my 3D printing life comes down to figuring out which rung I was actually on and dealing with it. This is the drawer of shame. Things I printed and then never quite got around to installing, which brings us to Exhibit A. Chapter 2, the Open Grid Saga. It's a boring, white, unassuming little tile. It's part of a modular system though called Open Grid, paired with a cable management framework called Underwear, and together they're the reason the underside of my desk no longer looks like a haunted spaghetti cave. And Future Simon here. This is by far my favourite part of the whole 3D printed desk build. This is an under-desk charger for AirPods Pro 2. I think they make one for 3. What's lovely about it is it becomes a mount for your AirPods at the desk. You can easily access them, they're always charging, and when you're done, you press a button and they fire back out. So cool. I printed tiles over about 3 weeks. I printed the channels over another 3, and then they just sat in that IKEA cabinet for months. The phrase, "I'll do it at the weekend," was uttered, I will be honest, by me roughly 47 times. And honestly, it's why this video is about half a year late from when I planned it. That and maybe a likely ADHD test result. But when I finally got around to doing it, I did it by planning it better. I got my iPad out on a lazy, wet Sunday morning and sketched the whole layout out on Notability, where the grid tiles should be, where cable routes were, which channels click into what angle. Sounds like overkill for cable management projects, but you know, actually it was a thing I really enjoyed and it unstuck me. One of the big challenges with 3D printing is making sure you choose and print the right things and they fit and work together. This has actually been a complete nightmare. The result is fantastic, but I actually printed all of the wrong channels for the grid system. There's a multi-board system and an open grid system, and they don't really play together very well. But the brilliant thing about the 3D printing community is people print solutions. So I found some connectors that join multi-board items to open grid systems. And then I found the right open grid underwear system, which has clips and actually is much better because it just goes straight on in one piece. Once I could see the plan, then the install and the further prints needed became a lot easier. It was like a 90-minute job instead of the 47th maybe next weekend. And as a side note, I'm known as an iPad lover, and I'm properly enjoying Notability for being able to make plans, take notes, and draw at the same time. I love it for little projects like this, where I can plan physical stuff before I pick up a drill. Link in the description. It's definitely my go-to note-taking app on the iPad for this year. But the lesson stuck hard. 3D printing isn't just about what you print, it's about how you plan out your prints, pick the right things, and iterate what you actually need, and then if you actually finish. Okay, so that's one thing I learned. The next one involves an Allen key and a mild panic attack. The clog. Things do go wrong with 3D printers. Somewhere around month 8, I clogged the hot end, or the printer head or something. Jammed it. Not a polite clog, like a wedged filament fused into the heartbreak kind of feeling clog. A year ago, past me would have panicked and emailed Bamboo Lab. Present me watched 4 YouTube videos, got out an Allen key and went at it. And it turns out dismantling a 3D printer, whilst I was really quite nervous about it, is considerably less terrifying than it looks. A few bolts, a careful hand, and actually nobody has ever been sent to prison for doing a mediocre job on a hot end. That feels like AI wrote it. Anyway, now after clearing that, I thought I would try printing something a little more tricky. So I did a cold pull to install some new filament. Heat the nozzle, feed in clean filament, let it cool slightly, then pull the whole thing out. The gunk comes with it if it's there. I think it was fine, and to be honest, the print following it was great. So there you go. The daunting bit isn't really the skill, it's just the first time you do something. Do it once, and the second time it takes a couple of minutes. But it turns out the pattern is almost true for everything in this hobby, which is a very useful thing to know before I tell you about the stupidest filament on earth that makes the coolest things. Chapter 4. The TPU, the shoes, and the dryer. No, that's not a C.S. Lewis sequel. Sorry. If you want to print anything flexible, phone, grip, balls, actual wearable shoes, you need filament called TPU or something similar. And yes, these are wearable shoes, although admittedly the first pair didn't fit. That's the problem with 3D printing. And these are the Yume shoes, designed by a guy called Alessio, who runs a project called River Family. He emailed me after the first video and sent me this design. Also, his collaboration with Stefan Dunk's The Wave 4, which is essentially a wearable sculpture, looks absolutely amazing. But the pair I actually decided to print felt a little bit more like me, to be wearable without looking too old for my cool shoes. Closer to a slipper, surprisingly comfortable once you get the right size. Link below if you want to print a pair yourself. Whether they constitute an appropriate fashion statement outside the house, though, is frankly between me and my partner. But to print the Yume, or anything flexible, you have to get over TPU's one charming personality trait. It drinks water straight out of the air. TPU has to be dried out. And to be honest, all filaments benefit from being dried out. You get a better quality print. It's like your printer has a cold otherwise, stringy, snotty, deeply unwell. You can dry filament in an oven, but actually I wasn't really sure about doing that at home and roasting the place out with plastic. But instead, I caved. The fancy filament dryers are 100 quid plus. I bought this one, a Grat kit from Amazon, which is about 35, 40 pounds. Pick your plastic, set the temperature, it tells you how long. Job done. Link below, it's really good. And the genius move, you just print straight out of the dryer using the external spool holder, is worth putting in some desiccant or whatever you call it. I can never say the word, but that stuff that dries things out that you find in packaging. Get some of that. Now, when you're ready to print, this took about 7 hours to dry to about an 8% moisture rating, and then it gradually goes up when you turn it off. Thread it through, manual load, go. The first time I tried it, I was certain I was about to set something on fire, but I wasn't. Second time, routine. Which brings me neatly to the promise I made at the top, the big admission we should probably address. A year ago, I told you I was going to move past Tinkercad and printing off marketplaces and start designing my own prints more seriously. I didn't. I opened it maybe 4 times, Tinkercad that is. I produced one genuinely ugly sign. Okay, it was all right. And realised something important though. Designing your own great 3D models is a hobby you have to be obsessed with. Not interested in, obsessed with. Because running a YouTube channel, running a business, and occasionally seeing sunlight, I don't have the obsession in me for another hobby. I do love 3D printing though. If you're like my pal Amy, she designs little beautiful 3D printed jewellery. She prints them, paints them, sells them. They're beautiful. That's the sweet spot. For that level, small, repeatable, personal. For me, well, I've had to make peace with a quieter truth, and it's the more useful thing I've learned this year about 3D printing. You do not have to be the artist to love the gallery. Let me know in the comments if you think this is sacrilege or if you're okay with it. And I know you, like stalwart 3D printing people, will just think I'm a phony. I'm not. I'm a hobbyist and a fan of the technology. That's okay. And I'm personally standing by it anyway, because the moment I let go of I should be designing my own stuff rather than solving my own problems and creating great things with a 3D printer, 3D printing became about 10 times more fun, which is conveniently when the best part of the year happened. So here's our 3 more crackers that made the cut. Stefan Dunk's koi ring. Stefan Dunks sent me over his koi ring design after we got chatting about what I was working on. It's generative. The surface pattern can be mapped onto almost any object, so every ring is subtly unique. My AMS multicolour system finally earned its keep. Orange, grey, white, one pass, no hovering. First time I watched it swap filaments mid-print, I may have applauded. Then, for my second 3D printing video this year, I made this, the iPhone filming cage. This thing is absolutely amazing. The print I've got the most actual use out of. It's a modular cage. I used heat set tools to drop brass threads into the mounting points, which means it takes standard tripod gear. There's a set that you can buy on MakerWorld to add all the hardware and all the printed elements. It's like grown-up Lego. Cold shoe mounts, standard tripod mounts, a handle, the lot. And I have taken this on real shoots. People have asked where I got it. The answer, a bit smugly, I actually printed it. And on that note, well, printing solutions to your problems is a great approach with 3D printing. And I printed this tiny thing. It's just a cable holder that keeps my cable tight on my mic arm. Small, simple, but the difference is when you're about to order one on Amazon for about £3, a 2 days wait, then I remembered that if you own a 3D printer, you can have it in 15 minutes. So I'm not impatient at all, but I think this is a good use of a printer. And I think that's where 3D printing gets genuinely magical. Not the shoes, not the ring, the 15 minutes fix you'd otherwise have waited 2 days for. And well, we have to give this a little mention, right? This is the item that gets the most comments when people visit my studio. The original Mac Mini. Like the original Macintosh printed Mini, but you get the idea. And well, it's also a desktop trash can. Now this final chapter is called The Printing Hat. Fear not, Harry, all will be revealed in time. So when I asked that question a year ago, is 3D printing worth it? My answer now, yes, but not the way that I expected. It's about how you apply it to your life. Solutions, quality of life upgrades, a small amount of entertainment. The best thing I did this year was take the pressure off. Stop trying to be Scott Yu Yan and start being the person with a useful machine occasionally available. And on the environmental lots of plastics thing, it's real. I won't pretend it isn't. More importantly, printing the 15-minute fix means you stop panic ordering plastic tat off Amazon every week. Maybe that gets you in the green, but probably not. And if you catch yourself thinking, I wish I had a thing that, more than once a month, or you enjoy slightly nerdy problem solving, this is a really great move. It's probably a no if you want instant gratification. You're already drowning in hobbies or the word cold pool makes you flinch. And with that, I'm going to leave you with a theory. Every 3D printer user can be sorted, possibly by a 3D printing sorting hat, into one of 4 houses. Yeah, I'm really pushing the illusion. Pick yours on purpose. Stop feeling guilty about the ones above. Curator. You print other people's designs, 90% of the joy, 10% of the effort, no shame. Problem solver. You hunt down prints that fix small specific problems, mic mounts, brackets, and missing knobs, and tweak them to your needs. Modifier. You remix. You live in Bamboo Studio or Tinkercad. And designer. You build from scratch. Scott, Amy, Alessio, Stefan, not me. And that's fine. I'm mostly a problem solver, occasionally modifying and very happy to visit the designer floor via other people's genius. And that's the honest answer. So a year in, was it worth it? Yes, for me, genuinely, once I stopped pretending to be someone I'm not. Now, if you missed the original, Is 3D Printing Worth It for Beginners? That video's right here. Or watch this one next for one of my intentional tech videos for Apple and desk stuff that, well, YouTube thinks you'll love. Hit subscribe if you'd like to stick around, and I'll see you then.